If you're a brand designer, content creator, or entrepreneur and you're interested in how you can build a better brand, this is the video for you. In today's video, I'm going to walk through how to really craft a brand strategy, start to finish, how to go through and implement that, what my process looks like, and showcase some examples of my work. And make sure you stick around for the entire video because as this thing wraps up, I'm going to showcase a full brand guidelines booklet and talk about how you can use brand guidelines to guide your business. Let's jump into the video. A lot of people like to begin the brand process with a logo design or a color palette, but those things really aren't a brand. And in order to craft an effective brand, we have to understand what a brand actually is. A brand is not something that you can create, but it is something that you control. A brand is a perception. It's what people who know about your business feel about you. So you have to think about a brand not in terms of a business, but in terms of a persona, a personality, a person. A brand is really based around how people feel about you and what they think about you when you come to mind as a business. A wise mentor of mine used to say that people don't remember what you did for them, they remember how you made them feel. And it couldn't be more true. So a logo design, a color palette, typography, all of these things, they go into how people feel about you, but they aren't exclusively how people think about you. Whenever I start a brand creation process, the first thing that we must establish is what is the persona that's already existing. I do this through what I like to call a brand audit or brand discovery session. The purpose of a brand audit is to figure out what is the persona, what are we currently doing, and how do people currently feel about us. And the reason this is so critical is because we must determine what are the personality traits that we're doing really well that we should keep, where are the things that we could make some big improvements on. Building this brand persona is the foundation of building the rest of the brand. The logo identity is the face of your company. The visual style is how you present yourself. The tone of voice is how you talk to people. But it all has to go back to the personality that we're trying to portray. Just like people, every brand has positive, neutral, and negative attributes. And so we have to figure out what are the positive attributes that we want to amplify? What are the negative attributes that we want to diminish or change? And what are the neutral attributes that we want to improve? This is the foundation of the strategy. So I research, I conduct interviews, I dive into the current brand and the visual style and the tone of voice, and what is the perception that all of that is setting forth? What is the culture of the company? And I compile all of this into what I call a brand audit document. What you'll notice is that the brand audit is about defining the personality as it stands today and also as we want to be in the future. The purpose of this is to set the vision for everything else that follows. We must know where we're trying to go before we try to get there. And that's what the brand audit document accomplishes. After we've successfully defined what we want our customers to feel about us, then we can start to play with how we can use different elements to make them feel the way we want them to feel about our company. And the wonderful thing about this is that a great brand strategy and brand personality reinforces your core mission, your core values, both externally to your customer base and also internally in the culture of your company. Once we have this personality clearly defined, the next step in the process is to build mood boards from existing creations that showcase where we think we can go with a brand design. Here you'll see a mood board for the brand Revelar, which we determined we wanted to feel sci-fi, space age, futuristic, inspirational, educational, and cutting edge. This brand was being created for a company in the Web3 gaming sector, so it needed to feel extremely innovative. And to reinforce this, we wanted to make the brand feel like that sci-fi genre of games that we all love. But building out this mood board isn't a brand, it's simply a collection of ideas from other people that we feel kind of fit within the target of what we're trying to achieve. This might include examples of copy, imagery, visual style, colors, logos that we all feel fit the personality that we want to build. In my process, I work with the client to add and remove things to the mood board to make sure that we build a comprehensive mood board that feels like it fits the personality we defined in the brand audit. I think about building brands like a funnel. We start really wide with a general personality that we're trying to build. We refine in by looking at other people's examples, and then next we build our own. This is what I call a stylescape. And what you'll notice is that a stylescape doesn't even include a logo. The logo has to reflect the visual identity of the brand. It can't be the visual identity of the brand. I'll talk about logos a little bit later and the purpose of a logo design, but right now I want to focus on the stylescape. What is the purpose of creating stylescapes? Well, as a designer, this is where I get to begin crafting that personality. So I'm exploring with copywriting, I'm exploring with tone of voice and messaging, I'm exploring colors, and I'm exploring layout styles, and I'm trying to build the persona. Again, if we think about a brand as a person, this is the basic bones of that person. This is how that person thinks and how it acts and how it talks and how it looks. And we haven't designed the face of the brand yet, the logo identity, but we're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. This is where the creative magic happens, because each typeface has its own personality. Each color has its own personality, each hue, each brightness, and then the combination of those colors, they say something about your company. They say something about the culture of your company and the offerings of your company. For example, if you want to build a youthful brand, your color palette is going to be very different than a mature brand. If you want to build a brand that's somewhere in between youthful and mature, maybe you choose a very mature typeface but youthful color palette. You start to combine the personality of individual elements into the personality of the whole. The personality of a photography style, a typeface, a color palette. Those things are all distinctive in and of themselves, but then together they form a new and different and exciting personality. And this is how we build unique identities that support the personality that we're trying to build, that we discovered in the brand discovery and audit phase. When I create these stylescapes, they're like an advancement on the mood board that we already created, but they're an idea of how we might be able to utilize ideas and move in different directions that support the personality we're trying to build. Maybe there's multiple answers and we refine and modify the stylescapes until we find one singular style that we believe fits the brand persona that we're trying to build. As you can see by the variety of these stylescapes, it's about building a style that's consistent visually with the company and the goals and the personality that that business is trying to portray to its consumers and to its employees. Based on the brand strategy and then the brand style that we've created, we can then begin building out the most important piece of the brand puzzle, the logo identity. The reason a logo identity is so critical is because you have to understand the purpose of what a logo does for your business. The logo identity is the face of your company. What I mean by that is kind of nuanced and has to do a lot with consumer psychology. Companies didn't need logos all that long ago because a logo identity inherently is what people remember. Not that long ago, people didn't need logo identities because they didn't buy from companies, they didn't buy from corporations. Instead, they bought from people. And for thousands of years, humans have become very adept at understanding how they feel about people. Remember, a brand is all about crafting how people feel about you. And our brains have been trained for a long time to categorize how we feel about individual people. Since the caveman era, I had to quickly be able to understand if the opposing chieftain was a friend or a foe. And I did this by categorizing every interaction that I had with that individual, and the label that I used in my mind to categorize all of these experiences was the person's face. It was the unique identifier that I could remember about a person. And so our human brains are very adept at doing this, and we do it every day, all the time. You see a face and you immediately categorize every experience that you've had with that person behind that face. It's why faces are the most recognizable things in human culture. So for the longest time, there was no need to categorize perceptions of corporations. Corporations just weren't a thing in ancient cultures. People didn't buy from a large corporation like Walmart. They bought their groceries from somebody locally, somebody they knew. They bought them at Smith Grocers, but they knew John Smith. They knew the Smith family. They went to church with the Smith family. And so their memory of Smith Grocers was not the logo of Smith Grocers or the location. It was the Smith family themselves. They were the ones who were selling the goods. But as corporations grew and we began to experience something new as humans, we had to find a different way to categorize experiences with businesses. All of a sudden, we were no longer buying from John Smith and his family. We were buying from Walmart, and Walmart was a large corporation. We didn't understand how to categorize that. How do you label such a giant corporation? How do you understand how you feel about such a giant corporation? This was the emergence of brands. And so the logo identity is the face of your company. It's the unique identifying mark that people can use to attach all of their perceptions, all of their experiences of that business. So I like to tell people, a logo isn't the brand. The brand is the perception that we're building and the way people feel. The logo is just what people will attach that perception to. Of course, we can't build a logo until we know what the personality is that we're trying to aim for and also how we're going to reinforce that personality. Now, every designer might have their own process when it comes to creating a logo. For me, it's a lot of sketches in a notebook or on my iPad. I go through multiple iterations to find something that could fit with this overall brand style. I'll take this into Illustrator and modify it and tweak it and experiment with different layouts and different styles. If you want to see a whole video on how I do this, click the link right there to check out how I built the Net Zero Architects logo start to finish. Now, there's a lot of different logo design types out there, word marks and icon marks and monograms, the type of which is determined by the personality that we're trying to build. But no matter if the logo design is a word mark, a combination mark, or just an icon, the process is the same. You iterate on building a design that fits within the brand style that we're trying to build. It should feel as if this logo can be dropped into the stylescape and wouldn't miss a beat. In fact, it would actually improve and enhance the visual style and the brand style that we're trying to build. It must be a complement so that people have something consistent that they can attach all of these experiences to. The experiences that we will create through refining and communicating our brand. As we conclude the logo design process, it's time to move into the final phase of this brand creation process, and that is to compile the entire brand into a comprehensive booklet that we can use as a guiding star for all brand decisions in the future. The brand design booklet is a living document that encompasses every aspect of this personality that we've built, as well as why we are building the personality that we're choosing to portray. Throughout the life of the company, we can use this document as a decision-making tool as we look and examine at different paths for our brand, and we can say, does this align with this document that we've created that encompasses who we are and who we want to become? Everything becomes looked at through the lens of the brand guide. And as the company grows and matures, we refine the brand guide booklet to reflect the new changes in our company's culture and vision. Only after this is created and clearly defined can we start to work on all of the external implementation of the brand we're trying to create. Building out websites is an important part of how your brand is perceived because it's one of the first stops for your customers. But the visual style and the colors and the typography and the personality and the copywriting has to be predefined in the brand guideline. It has to be reflective of the brand guideline. The purpose of this booklet is that somebody 100 years from now could find it in the archives and easily emulate our exact business personality. It's so critical that brands don't stop growing after this is created. We want brands to continue to grow and thrive and change because that's how we can continue to build a truly unique identity in the market space. Research shows us that building brands that are consistent, that are well defined, that resonate with our audience and our employees improves our company culture, improves our brand perception, and our customer retention. Branding is a slow and long but rewarding process. If you enjoyed this video and felt like you learned something, please consider liking and subscribing, and let me know in the comments what types of videos you want to see next. Thanks for watching.